Hi, I'm James. I'm giving a tour of our Android Studio project called New Leaf. I'm in a group with Allison and Denise. So I'll start by just giving a tour of the app and then I'll go over some of the code afterwards. So New Leaf is about tracking habits, and if you complete those habits a specified number of days in a row, you get a reward. So right now, the app has 30 different habits in it. Here it says 0 of 30 completed, so that shows that New Leaf is tracking 30 habits. And above this is a progress bar showing that none of them are completed. Down here, we have a scrollable view where you can view all the habits that we currently have. Um, in the larger text, we have the title of the habit. So right here, this habit is called read. And then below that, in the smaller text, is the category it's in. There's 6 different categories, and depending on the category, it changes the small text, the background color of the habit, and the image with the habit. So you can easily tell what category the habit's in just by looking at it. So say that we wanted to complete one of the habits today. You can see down here in the completed section, it's empty, showing that none are completed. So if I click on breakfast, I can check this box to say the habit's completed, and then go back to the home page. And then that moves the habit into the completed section. That way it's easy to tell which habits you already did today, which ones you still have yet to do. Up here at the top, this updated to 1 of 30 completed, and the progress bar moved a little bit as well. We can complete some more habits to just show them moving around. So now we have 33 of 30 completed, and we have 3 habits in the completed section. So you can click anywhere on the habit, and when you click on it, it takes you over here to habit description. Up at the top is the checkbox to say that you did the habit today, and in the top right is a button to go to the home page. Over here we have a logo that shows which category the habit's in, and then down here is the title and description of the habit. Each habit has 2 goals, a short-term goal and a long-term goal. As you can see, the short-term goal right here requires that you complete the habit 14 days in a row, and the long-term goal requires 30 days in a row. And for both of them, we've done 0 of those days so far. When you do complete that goal, it has a reward. So the short-term goal has the reward of go see a movie, and the long-term reward has the goal of go to a film festival. So when I click the checkbox for habit completed, it updates the progress to 1 out of 14 and 1 out of 30. The checkbox is then disabled, but starting tomorrow, you can then click the checkbox again, and that will increase the progress some more. Going back to the home page, let's go to the save money habit. On this habit, you can see the progress is 4 out of 5 for the short-term goal. So if I click this checkbox, that's going to be 5 days in a row, and we should get this reward. So let's try that. We click the checkbox, and since we hit 5 out of 5, it says you reached your short-term goal. Make sure to get your reward. So we can click this button here to set a new short-term goal, or we can click the home page to just reset the current short-term goal. So let's go ahead and click this button. And so here I'll set it to 10 days in a row, and I'll set the reward to go to the park. And then I click create. And then if we scroll down to the bottom, you can see the habit save money is now under the completed section. And if I click on it, it shows habit completed, and it shows our new short-term goal, 0 out of 10 days, and the short-term reward of go to the park that I just set there. In addition to all that, we can add new habits with the add habit button up here. I can click on this and maybe we'll add a new habit. We'll just call it play piano. I'll add a description. And then I guess we'll put it under creativity. And then we'll add some goals here. We'll say, 5 days in a row. We'll add a little short-term goal, eat pizza. 20 days in a row. Go on vacation. Okay, so we just fill out all of these fields and then we click create. And then it takes us to the habit description. And you can say completed if we completed it. And then if we go back to the home page, we should see that habit somewhere here in the home page. Oh, here it is at the bottom. So it just added that habit. As you see, we have 5 out of 31 habits. And it shows the title, and of course in the habit description, everything is here as we put it in when we made the new habit. So that's the whole idea of the app. You can create new habits, um, get rewards when you complete them a certain number of days in a row, and on the homepage, get a overview of all the habits you have, which ones were completed today, which ones you still have left to do. If the day were to change, all the completed today habits here would then move to the to do section. So at the start of every day, all the habits start in to do, and you can complete them throughout the day. Okay, so now I'll go over the code section of the app. Okay, so now going over the code section, each activity has its own corresponding class in Java. Here's the main activity that corresponds here with the home page. Um, Coming down here to onCreate, we just set the find view by ID for the relevant stuff here. We then set an on-click listener for the add habit button, and when you click on that, it takes you to the addHabit.class activity. And then after that, we call createDB. CreateDB is the same method as provided by the instructor in their example project, and that simply uses the DB helper class. And the DB helper class also is the same class as provided by the instructor. So it's just the same setup, and calling createDB just allows the app to create a new database. Okay, now after that, most of the code is in the on resume section. We do this because every time you go to an activity and then you go back to the home page, the data can update, such as if you completed the habit or not. So on resume gets called whenever the activity gets focused on the screen. So the first thing we call is get results. And so get results runs a query on the database, and it says select star from habit join completed today. So basically our database has two tables. It has the table habit and completed today, and it's joining the two tables together since they have a one-to-one relationship. And so this query basically gets everything from the database, and we iterate through using cursor.getCount and cursor.moveToNext, and we fill in this class that I have inside main activity. There's this class called data, and this holds all the data stored in the database. And so we have this variable down here um, called array list data, and so this is just an array list of data objects. um, and so this array list contains all data stored in the database, and get results fills in that array list, so that coming back here to on resume, we have access to all the data from the database in that variable called data. And so mainly over here, we iterate through that array list for data, data, data list, and we're mainly filling in this list down here, all the habits stored in the database. Down over here, we use an inflate. The reason for this is every activity has a corresponding layout, but main activity has two layouts. So there's activity main, which actually stores the overall layout, but we have a habit.xml as well. The habit.xml stores the layout of each habit individually. And we're moving all the code in the habit.xml inside of the activity main.xml, and we're doing that through this inflate call. So we either add it to the linear layout called completed space or to do space. So depending on whether the habit's completed or not, we add it to one of the two different linear layouts from here. Going back to main activity.java, we just do a switch statement based on the category, and this is what is used to fill in the background color, the image, and the text right here. And then inside here, we set an on-click listener for each habit, and each habit, when you click on it, goes to the habit details activity. And so we're simply using an intent to send all the data to the habit details activity so that they don't have to get it from the database again. So coming over here to habit details then, or habit description, I mean, when we click on this, we're here in habit description, and it simply gets all the data from the intent over here, and it fills in all the relevant fields here. There's an on-click listener for the checkbox, and when you click on the checkbox, it simply updates the progress variables, and it checks whether or not the short-term days complete is equal to the number of days. So this is where it's actually checking whether we completed the goal when you click on the checkbox. And if you do, then it takes you to a new activity, the goal complete activity. Alright, so now I'll show the class for goal complete. So when you click the checkbox and you complete a goal, this class handles the goal complete activity. There's two buttons, the home button and the set a new goal button. So when you click on the home button, it just resets the current goal that you have. So it either resets the short-term days complete back to 0, or it resets the long-term days complete back to 0. Whereas if you want to set a new goal, then it takes you to a new activity called change goal. So if we look at that activity called change goal, that also has a home button. And if you just click on the home button, once again, it sets the short term or the long term days back to 0. Or you can update the goal. So when you update the goal, you're updating the reward, the number of days you need to complete the reward, and it sets the days complete back to 0 since you're starting from fresh. And so here it's just either updating the short term goal or it's updating the long term goal, depending on which one you finished. We update the database with db.exec.sql, and then it just runs a query to update that data in the habit table. Alright, so coming back to the home page, the only activity left is the add habit activity. Okay, now looking at the add habit class, this sets up the add habit activity as we can see here on the right. Inside of the onCreate method, we have an onClick listener for the create button right here. So when you click on the create button, it gets all the data that you put in all these fields and it assigns them to these variables here. After doing that, it creates a new entry into the habit table and in the completed table in the database with all the data that you put in. And that's how when you go back to the home page, it's able to get the new data from the database because it's constantly, every time you go to the home page, it reads all the data from the database. This method right here, clear background, it just clears the background when you choose a category. Allows you to set new categories. And then each one of these 6 different categories has its own onClick inside the onClick method. And it just sets a background color and it assigns value to the habit category variable. And this variable is used later on when you click the create button and it adds that category to the database as a string. Okay, so that should complete a tour of the code part of the app. Thanks for listening. Have a good day.